and this is a different market than 2008. I mean, we have a different level of credit qualified buyer. Back then in a way, because I've obviously been in the business since 96. So I was in the business then. It's a different type of buyer. We had a little bit more lenient underwriting guidelines because the administration at that point was really pushing, for everybody to be a homeowner. I mean, which I'm totally good with. I would love everybody to be a homeowner. But we got really lax in underwriting guidelines, down payment requirements, DTI, debt to income ratio requirements. And when Wall Street got a hold of, let's push everybody into a home mortgage, they saw money opportunity. Mm-hmm. So companies like Deutsche Bank and Lehman and, these alternative non-QM, what we call non-qualified mortgage companies, were like, man, this is the greatest opportunity ever. We can create these debt obligations we can sell a paper when in reality, the buyer wasn't, full A paper buyer. We lowered 720 credit scores down to 620. We lowered down payments from 20% down to 5% on loans where we didn't document anything. So if the buyer wasn't as strong credit-wise and they didn't have as much money invested in the property, it's a lot easier for them to walk away, right? They had really not a whole lot to invested in it. So when the market started to shift and we went from a normalized market to properties truly coming down in value, you saw a big wave of people just walking away from homes, which furthered, right, the decrease in value, which is completely different than where we are today. We don't have those type of products available to us. The credit quality of a buyer is significantly better. The average down payment is significantly higher than what it was in 08. So I believe at least we're in a different, at least mortgage credit market cycle, right, than where we were then, which should help.
Anyways, yeah.
And you speak about your agent, so let's kind of get into that. I mean, you have a brokerage, Willow Real Estate, right? How long have you had that brokerage?
So Willow Real Estate has been opened now for just over 5 years.
Okay. But you've been in real estate longer than that, right?
Yes, longer. So I've been, I started as an agent 17 years ago. Prior to that, I interned at a local office for about a year while I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go into real estate or not.
Is there any significance with the name Willow? Anything? Okay.
Yeah. So a couple of different things. And I probably haven't told a great story yet about this online, but...
you want me to tell it?
Yeah.
As soon as
I'll tell you first.
Right. Well, then she's going to use it.
I'm kidding.
That'd be great. I'll take it. No. So multiple things. I grew up in Bedford, Texas, and we had a huge willow tree out front. And I mean, huge. And they're kind of rare. I don't really see them all over in HEB or in DFW at least. And, I had the whole story and stuff from getting in trouble. I made a lot of mistakes as a child. And just the whole thing about having to go kind of pick the switch that you were going to be spanked with. My dad was a football coach. He wasn't like some insane person that was just always beating us. But I made a few huge mistakes. Okay. And so that was kind of, so there's some significance there. Not that, being whipped with the willow tree is a great one. But just whenever I see one, it just makes me think of home and it makes me think of my house growing up.
And what you learned maybe.
Right. Yeah. And the good things and the qualities of, consequences of good things and bad things. Anyways, so we've got that. Secondly, the first house I ever bought was actually in Bedford, Texas, with my wife. And it was around 2008. So the market was in kind of some weird times.
Yeah.
And it was an REO actually. And it was on Willow Lane. And so exciting experience. I was actually an agent through there, and that was probably in my first 20 transactions, something like that. And I had never done one with a bank. I'd never bought from a bank.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole lot of learning that went through, on that whole process. We still got a really great deal on a terrible house, but it worked out for us. And we loved that home, stayed in that home for about 5 years or so. And then immediately, whenever we moved out, we turned it into a rental. And so through this one address, I got to experience a lot of unique things or cool things about real estate, and home ownership being the number one thing.
Right.
Secondly, whenever we bought it, my wife was an educator, and we used this Texas State Affordable Housing Commission, TSHAC thing.
TSHAC, yeah.
We used that, and so we benefited from this awesome program that now I get to help other people use still.
Yep.
And I love that program. And plus, it was an REO, which was strange, and a lot of weirdness there. And then let's see. Oh, whenever we rented it out, then I became a landlord. I'm still a landlord. I still own that house.
Oh my gosh!
Bedford.
Wow.
And so we've kind of seen it like through the single house, just saw a whole lot through real estate. And the final thing of why I really liked Willow as a name for the company is, like in a flood area, say if you're about to kind of start building a community around, any kind of waterway or whatever, something that they would do a long time ago is just plant a ton of willow trees because they grow really, really deep roots and they kind of stabilize the area. And so whenever I think of my company and how we're kind of community, there's a ton of us that are just doing something for the community. I love and work with Metroport Meals on Wheels and Tarrant County Meals on Wheels a ton. Like I deliver for them every Tuesday, and we donate money and stuff to them. And I've got a lot of other agents doing some really great things. Just there's something about that, having deep roots in the community. Yeah. Right. So
I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome to know that.
Thanks,
Jennifer pivoting over here and just jumping into the question.
I'm
I know, right?
going off the plan. Well, that's where the magic is.
It
right?
is.
I agree.
Totally. I mean, but what like you were a realtor, so now and you own this brokerage for 5 years. Why was what's the transition for? Why did you want to like start a brokerage and kind of go down this path?
No, I love this question. So I firmly believe that there is a place for like a model for everybody in real estate. And I didn't think that the perfect one existed, at least for me. And I kind of bounced around a couple of different times from brokerage to brokerage, and I've seen a lot of the different models. And I just didn't think there was anything out there that really fit what I would want as just an agent. And so that's what I kind of did. I've basically taken some pieces from here and there and sort of created my own idea of if I were an agent today, where would I want to work? And I don't think it existed. It didn't exist prior to me starting this. And that's really what led me to do it. Is I wanted to create the right place for the kind of agents that I would like to have as part of the company. And I think that's what I've done.
What type of agents are you looking for your company? Because how many agents do you have now?
Right now we're at 19.
19, and you're covering which markets?
Primarily Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm in talks with some people in Houston, and we've got some really great agents in Austin as well.
Okay, and I'm assuming are you looking for growth?
I am.
Okay, so if you're looking to grow, tell me what is the perfect agent for you?
The number one thing is coachability, I think.
Okay.
Somebody needs to be able to take constructive criticism and internalize it and not let it upset them, and then actually act on it. And I think that's something that separates the good from the best is, there's a ton of people. If you go to a Tom Ferry conference, there's thousands of people there. And I think the percentage of people that are actually implementing what some of the amazing stuff they just heard and learned is very, very small. And so, those are I'm looking for the people that take action, on whatever it is, on ideas for me or whatever it is that they learn. Those are, that's my number one thing. I really want somebody that's just not going to be that fake it till you make it thing, where it's, which we hear about all the time, but that just kind of drives me nuts. We're dealing with probably their largest asset, and I can't imagine faking anything about that. Yeah. And so, just people that are serious about the industry and serious about education and learning to become the best, or really how do we take care of our clients in the best way possible?
Yeah, to become the best whole. Right. Whole real estate agent and professional. And that's not just the client. It goes back to the community part that you talked about in Willow and the deep roots. And I mean, you got to think bigger than a transaction, as a brokerage or as a real estate professional. You got to think about, what kind of impact you're having in the communities that you serve. Right. I mean, I think that's a good way to look at that. Yeah. I mean, and coachability, I mean, we deal with that a lot with our girls because, they're beach athletes, beach volleyball players. And that's some of the things that the coaches talk about in what they want to see, right? The top performers, the D1 athletes, they're going to go to that school, and the coach wants to say or see that if I tell you something, you have the ability to go out there immediately and execute on what I just told you. Not 3 weeks from now, right? Like if I say this needs to happen and this is the way I want to see it done, then you have the ability to actually go out there and do it. Even if it doesn't work immediately, you're showing that you are you're progressing, you're trying it, you're doing it, you get incrementally better each time.
Mhm.
And then ultimately you become, exactly the type of player that they're looking for to fit in their lineup.
Great. Yeah.
Leadership style. I mean, what would you say, I guess, from, the way that you like to, no, I wouldn't use manage, because I don't think manage would be the right word for the type of brokerage you have. Well, how do you lead? What's your leadership style for your company?
So, one of the things I think about whenever I'm trying to come up with an answer for this question is, each agent is operating their own business under the umbrella of what it is that I'm offering. And for the most part, I get a lot of agents that, they have a certain thing that they expect out of me. And that's just guidance. And, they would like to be able to, I promise there's something in real estate where it's a new transaction every time. I have never had the same transaction twice.
Right.
Ever. And I've been doing this for quite some time.
Isn't
and so,
that the truth?
yeah, well, I get that. So, everybody wants to have somebody available right away whenever something comes up that they've never dealt with.
Mhm.
And so that's the number one role right there, is just availability.
Mm-hmm.
And, anyways, outside of that, I try to sort of follow this servant leadership path where basically, I'm constantly looking. I don't want to just be the person to answer questions. I really want to figure out how can we perform better? How can we, reach more people? How can we, just all the different ways to maybe increase productivity, as well as when you're taking care of the clients that you have. This
Right.
is, these are the things that I focus on. So
yeah, and we were talking offline a little bit about servant leadership, and I think the big part of that is just kind of what you said, and what we all do in that role is asking what their goal is. Right. Because if as a leader, I'm just telling you what our company goal is or what my expectation of you is going to be, then I own the goal.
Right.
And they don't really own it. And we need to understand what is their goals, what are their expectations, what do they want to get out of this role, right? This profession. And then as a leader, our job is to hold them accountable to that. Once we know it, then we can change the way that we communicate with him. Hey, you said you were going to be doing these things. My job as your leader is to hold you accountable to those measurables, right? That you have to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, all that stuff to get to the ultimate goal that you're looking for. And that helps us really as leaders, and it changes the dynamics of that conversation to where they own it a bit more.
Great.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, as far as like any I guess challenges that you may have with like dealing with agents, like the ones that aren't performing, or like what are you doing to kind of help them think outside the box and grow and kind of get on that right path?
Sure. Good question. So, I think definitely as a coach and broker, you have different plans of how you help your top agents versus how you help people that are just sort of maybe getting started, right? There's so many things that you have to do whenever you're getting started. I kind of compare it like you're kind of like a rocket ship, like whenever you're just getting started, launching a rocket takes so much fuel right in the beginning that, this thing has got to have so much pressure shooting out the bottom of it, just like launching it towards space. But then once you're up in orbit, it's totally different, right? We don't take off from the planet.
It's a really great analogy, actually.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think I stole it from somebody else. That's not my
Well, we're going to steal it from you.
All right, cool. Yeah, please feel free.
We call it swipe and adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. But it's true. I mean, whenever you're floating around in space, you obviously are using less fuel. You just have different operations, right? Kind of a maintenance plan versus how do we get this thing out of Earth's atmosphere. And so that's one of the things I think that we do a really good job of is I've got a few mentors that are part of the company, and
nice.
They one focuses on top agents and one focuses on really getting people started. And we sort of follow some of the Buffini plan. If you've ever heard of this guy, I love him.
Oh yeah.
And he has a really awesome plan called 100 Days to Greatness. And it's one of those things. I'm not giving away any secret sauce here.
Right.
It's out there. It's a matter of if you're going to execute on it.
Exactly. Right? Most people will have it all, but they just don't do anything with it. They got all the material, they got the books, they got the audio books, everything, but they don't do.
Yeah, that's true. look, if buying books was the same as reading them, then gosh, I would be the most read person on earth. My wife gives me a hard time because we get a new book every week or whatever, and she's like, "Cool, should I just go put this with all the other ones?"
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I just feel like we don't have a one size fits all. Kind of like, well, really on all of real estate, I feel like there is no one size fits all. Period. Whether it's with our clients or with our with agents, and so everything is kind of custom tailored. Which I think is, a really huge benefit whenever you're shopping around for brokerages.
Yeah.
Am I going to go to a class where you're going to teach me exactly your way, or are we going to work on my way of doing things? As an agent, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Back to the books. Any particular books that you have found the most successful for you?
There is a really good one, and it's called Exactly What to Say. Have you ever heard of this?
Ooh.
No, I love it.
Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about here. This might be
Bobby, you should probably read that.
Exactly what to say. Come on.
Well, look, so I find with any good business book, I wind up using like 50% of it for business, and then the other half I just wind up using it for regular life too.
Yes, yes.
And this is 100%. One of
100%.
those books. So it's called Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones. I do kind of feel like I'm giving away secret sauce at this point, but it's a book, it's out there, whatever. It is so good. So I recommend reading that book. And let's see, the little byline thing is the magic words for influence and impact. There is no magic rituals in this book. It's just a collection of these phrases that disarm people and allow you really to influence thought. And then there's somebody else that's come in and taken that book, which has been out for several years, and adapted it to real estate. And so it's actually called Exactly What to Say, for real estate agents. One of my favorite books. It's like a field guide.
Okay.
It's really good. I don't want to butcher it and mess up some of the phrases, but I find myself using them even with my wife. So she knows it too.
It's a higher level book than Real Estate for Dummies.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yeah, there's zero about transactions in this. There's nothing about contracts. It is totally, really, honestly, what it is how to connect with people and then how to present ideas without offending them. That's really, I think, if I had to boil this book down, like that's really what. And by ideas, it's really good. I highly recommend it.
Well, it's how to have that conversation with a difficult client to help them understand why they should list a house at a particular price.
Oh, sure.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming that's kind of where it would take it, or not the transaction like you said, but just getting in the right frame of mind on how to have that conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, there's that, and just things like people. I don't know. Real estate agents have a bad reputation, and it's
just like the mortgage guys.
I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know what the stat is for mortgage guys, but for real estate agents, there's a poll that the National Association of Realtors does, and I think we're like third place underneath, or for the least trustable profession, and that's right underneath. We're less trustable than car salespeople, than used car sales. And that's painful.
That is
because
painful
that is not
to hear.
how I've run my business. And it's honestly the majority of realtors, even outside of my company. I mean, this is not just a company plug. Realtors, the ones that are like in the association, I have not met many that are swindlers or that are, they're usually pretty honest and pretty transparent, hardworking people.
Yeah, and I think it's a perception, not a reality, because most think that the real estate agent is just there to earn a commission, right? And I feel like we've started to do a better job as mortgage professionals and even real estate professionals of giving before receiving. Like, look, I'll teach you how to do loans. I'll teach you how to do your own loan. We'll educate. You can go online on social media and follow me. And I mean, it's all right there. I mean, we show people how to do things, but in hopes of earning that trust, right? That they get to know me, like me, and fully trust me, that they begin reaching out right to me and say, hey, we love all your content. Will you help us do our mortgage? Right. And I think with obviously social media the way it is and everything that's kind of gotten so much easier with people's ability to post online and use TikTok and just be their, funny personal, getting more personal and real. I think that's starting to hopefully change people's perception, because they are able to help educate a lot more. And I know that's a big part of your brokerage is just the education because of y'all's background and your commitment with, your real estate agents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I do to separate us from other brokerages is, I think in-house training is great, and we absolutely provide that. I've got some things that I love to share with my agents that a class doesn't exist for yet. But I also really firmly believe in trusting in our association, both statewide, locally, and nationally. And, the National Association of Realtors, for example, has sort of vetted a huge amount of classes. And so that's something, one of the ways I try and recruit people is I'm explaining to them, hey, come over to my brokerage and we will cover your trainings. We'll reimburse you for whatever it is that you take through the NAR. And I feel like that is so much better than just in-house training because, you get like the initials after your name. You're usually getting taught by, some excellent teacher instead of just one of the top performers of the brokerage that you're at. There's a huge difference there. And anyways, I'm a firm believer of that. Yeah. Well, you know what? I also find that, confidence really is real, genuine confidence. There's a huge difference between faking it until you make it and genuine confidence. And for me, the only way I can be confident, like genuinely, is if I know what I'm doing and if I've been there before or learned about it before. And I think that confidence makes you a better representative of your clients, for your clients. And if they're not your clients yet, if you are paired up against somebody or you're competing against another agent that maybe doesn't have that same level of earned, like actually merited confidence, then I think you're going to stand out. And so that's another thing that's self-serving for me because I'll tell you, educated agents do way better than non-educated agents. So
completely agree. And I like the part where you said about, the producer, because they're not the ones training, because they're not typically the best educators or trainers. They're usually the ones that are out there selling, right? They're putting the deal. I mean, not that they're not educated, they're just not probably the best teachers.
Sure.
And so utilizing National Association of Realtors or other organizations that you may use, you're getting a dedicated trainer to actually take care of the agents and teach them what they need to know every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like all of us have like a finite amount of what we can be extremely good at. And I think if you're dealing with somebody who's an extremely good producer or a producing agent, then I don't know, the likelihood of them being an amazing teacher to me is pretty slim. So that's why I really like this other, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So speaking of education,
I've never heard anybody do that.
No. Speaking of education, though, what are you doing in today's market? Because there's a lot of people that need education right now, and these agents are the ones that have to deliver that because they're on the front lines talking to a lot of people. How are you helping or advising your agents to help them handle this current housing and interest rate market?
Look, so I think I've been preaching this really since I've been a broker, maybe even before. It's always important to connect, especially your buyer, with a mortgage company very early in the process. And by very early, I mean, like that needs to be among the first things. It needs to be, hi, I'm Todd Bingham. Are you working with a lender yet? This kind of thing. Because, I don't know, just, you don't want to waste their time. You don't want to waste the buyer's time. You don't want to waste anybody's efforts or anything like that until we know exactly what it is that the buyer is going to be able to qualify for. And look, I don't mean this may come across wrong. It may sound like I'm saying, don't work with anybody unless you know that they're able to buy. And that's not it. I think there's an education piece here. The other thing is one of the hugest issues I run into in real estate with agents is agents sort of stepping out of their lane a little bit and maybe pretending that they know an insane amount about the mortgage side of things, when in reality, that's crazy. I don't know that many agents that know a whole lot about exactly how mortgage works or qualifications or, you know what I mean? Like we're not equipped to deal with any of that. And so again, I just think it's so important to connect your clients with a lender right away. And then kind of let, let's say let one of your people kind of instruct them on, hey, we're going to do this, or I feel like we should lock in as quickly as possible, or let's wait a little bit, something like that. So that's how I'm doing that with buyers. With sellers, of course, we're just looking at industry stats and talking about where we think, or, the changes that are occurring in the market, like where, what is that going to do to your sales price? That kind of thing. That's what I get asked that a whole lot of, do I need to sell right now? Do I need to wait a little bit? Or do I have 2 months? I was just asked this morning via text. Somebody was like, do you think it'd be okay if we waited 2 months to sell? So yeah, my answer to that, by the way, is no. If my recommendation is to get moving right now, but just before anything else goes up and it affects sales prices. But anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, the whole listing part is because we do different masterminds, and we were in one mastermind group that we had, and one of the agents, basically the client established a price, and they got an offer at full price, And the client said, well, that's not good enough because, we should be getting $100,000 over based on everything we've heard. Right. And he's like, yeah, but that was maybe, 6 months ago, 8 months ago. This is a different market today. You're not going to be getting $100,000 over asking price.
Right.
This is a more starting to become more of a normalized season where buyers are making a more normal offer than having to go $100,000 over. Now you may still go a little over for sure. We still see those contracts a lot, but not at the rate that we were, right when we hit pandemic and in that period of time in the last 6 months. I mean, it started to kind of change, and it's just being able to reset the expectation for that listing client is like, look, you're going to starting to get offers closer to what we listed at, not trying to bid it up and get 100K over. So
Right.
If we're going to list at this price and I'll bring you 3 offers at this price, are we accepting one of these 3?
Yeah. Well, what I used to think is, this changed in the last 12 months or so, maybe 24 months. But anytime I'd see an offer that, or like say you see this a lot, real estate agents getting on Facebook or Instagram or some sort of social and saying like, oh, we received 36 offers and we accepted one that was 150 over. My first thought is, okay, well, you may have listed like 125 too low, right? And I know there's different strategies, and somebody out there's probably hearing that thinking, oh no, that's stupid. The way to do it is you underlist or whatever.
Right.
But in reality, I mean, just as a consumer, I feel like there's always just this sort of thing between a listing agent and the seller. And it's, of course, that the seller wants as much as possible and the listing agent wants it to be as low as possible so that they can actually get a commission out of it or, get something out of the sale. And so the truth is probably somewhere in between those numbers. But I do think that, that it was unsustainable. This thing where we keep seeing these prices go for 150 over or offers going 150 over. That can't just keep going forever. And you're right. I mean, I think we're shifting out of that. Right now, I'm seeing the most price drops I've ever seen on the ML, or not ever, but in the past 4 years. And then longest days on market average, we're creeping up there. So.
You're getting more houses on inventory. They're staying longer on the market, and you're getting more decreases.
Sure.
And to clarify the decreases, because I don't want people to think that we're getting into a market crash or how house prices are dropping. They're just becoming more normalized, right? So we're talking about maybe a house that was listed trying to receive a max bid offer, and now they're dropping it to something more normalized that the market's offering. It's not that we're getting houses are depreciating in value. It's not like we're seeing a crash by any stretch.
Yeah, I don't, looking back, there's an infographic that the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, just put out, and it shows every single recession, I think, in the past, 35, 36 years.
Yep.
And housing prices, other than 2008.
2008's the only time.
Yeah, they were going at the minimum that housing prices went up during a recession was like 3.4%.
Yeah.
That's meaningful to me,
Yeah, and this is a different market than 2008. I mean, we have a different level of credit qualified buyer. Back then, in a way, because I've obviously been in the business since '96, so I was in the business then. It's a different type of buyer. We had a little bit more lenient underwriting guidelines because the administration at that point was really pushing, for everybody to be a homeowner. I mean, which I'm totally good with. I would love everybody to be a homeowner. But we got really lax in underwriting guidelines, down payment requirements, DTI, debt to income ratio requirements. And when Wall Street got a hold of, let's push everybody into a home mortgage, they saw money opportunity. So companies like Deutsche Bank and Lehman and, these alternative non-QM, what we call non-qualified mortgage companies, were like, man, this is the greatest opportunity ever. We can create these debt obligations we can sell a paper when in reality the buyer wasn't full A paper buyer. We lowered 720 credit scores down to 620. We lowered down payments from 20% down to 5% on loans where we didn't document anything. So if the buyer wasn't as strong credit wise and they didn't have as much money invested in the property, it's a lot easier for them to walk away, right? They had really not a whole lot to invested in it. So when the market started to shift and we went from a normalized market to properties truly coming down in value, you saw a big wave of people just walking away from homes, which furthered, right, the decrease in value, which is completely different than where we are today. We don't have those type of products available to us. The credit quality of a buyer is significantly better. The average down payment is significantly higher than what it was in 08. So I believe at least we're in a different, at least mortgage credit market cycle, right, than where we were then, which should help.
I agree.
Now, are you still seeing a lot of people move here from out of state?
Oh yeah, that represents just under half of our business.
Half. Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's not just California either.
Yeah.
It's really from both sides, from the coasts, and then randomly from Colorado. We're still getting
Colorado.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Why would you ever leave Colorado?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I don't know. Some of these things I can pull up metrics on and see why that's happening, and some of them I can't. And that's one of the ones that kind of baffles
It's
me.
really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's our wonderful weather here.
Yeah, maybe it is. That's right.
It's the 105.
Yeah, they just want to be miserable. And
I don't know, man. I prefer 105 over 45.
Oh, do you? Gosh, I do not. I don't know. I'm happy. I like it here. I'm not saying I don't, but I just, there's one thing I'd give up. It's the stupid heat,
Yeah.
Oh, no, I love the heat. we kid around. We're powered by sun and sand and water.
Yeah.
So those are three things that power the Johnson family. No, I mean, it's we've seen a lot of the same thing. I mean, there's always been relo to the DFW and Texas in general, but with the pandemic and everything that happened there, it started to really double down, and we started to see a lot more people. And I believe it was a lot of it could be attributed to the way that companies had to pivot and with their workforce, and because everybody was sent home, right? And then they started to allow for, being able to work from home. And then these employees are like, well, if I'm gonna have to work from home, why do I want to stay in California and pay the taxes? Can I work from Texas? Yep. And it just, and companies really were like, we don't want to lose our workforce. So we'll let you live and work from that location. And we started to see it from California and from, upper east sides, stuff like that. I mean, Florida, you still have good tax rates, you still have good weather, so you didn't see as much from there, but you started to see it definitely from the West Coast and the East Coast, upper East Coast. So yeah, it's been good for our business here, especially.
Great. Yeah. Same here.
Now with the brokerage and everything that you're doing, I mean, obviously you're growing, 19 strong now, you're continuing to grow. You have a wife.
I do.
2 kids. Mm-hmm. How are you able to manage and balance, I guess, your work and your life, or do you believe in work-life balance?
Gosh, do I believe in it? So look, I feel like I'm kind of working at all times, and also being a father and a husband at all times, right? Yeah. And I don't have a way to shut off one or the other. Mm. What I do focus on is processes and systems, and I think that's, if I can spend 5 minutes to save myself 30 seconds from here on out, every day, then I'm going to spend that 5 minutes. And so that's one of the things that, I love about that video library of questions that I've created, is it covers pretty much almost every part of the contract and a lot of other additional things. And so, it's one of the questions I ask my agents if they've asked me something is, hey, did you have a chance to search it in the library? Mm-hmm. And that kind of gives me a little bit of that time, because it's a really weird thing in the real estate world, and I'm sure you've experienced this. Mm-hmm. A lot of activity around 10 p.m. for some reason, 9:30 p.m. I don't get it. I mean,
on holidays and weekends mainly.
I know, right? Yeah, Christmas Eve or something. Yes. 10 p.m. calls. And so and a lot of it's stuff that I've covered in this library. And so that's been a huge asset, and it's kind of saved me some stuff there. I do have shut off times, and I recommend everybody do that. Even God took a day off, and not that I'm comparing myself to God here, but I'm just saying this is something that it was so important that, it's written in the Bible and stuff. And so, this is something I try to focus on too, is I try to have my day. Now, my day is not on a Saturday or Sunday. Those are real estate days. Those are my work days.
Those are work days. Yeah.
I do try to do mine on a Monday or Tuesday when I can, But I think that's super, super important. And, I think my kids understand. We talk about it, and I kind of use it as a lesson for them. Like, hey, this is what
Right.
I'm doing to provide for this family. But also, yeah, I try to be 100% there whenever I'm around them. But they get it.
I love the answer, and I think Jen and I can identify with that a lot because we don't have a balance. I mean, we call it work-life harmony. Right, because
every day is different, just like every transaction is different,
Yeah, and totally. Every day we have to be in both, right? I mean, as I'm sitting here doing this podcast and talking to you and everything, I'm thinking about also my daughter, whose big recruiting day is today, and everything that she has on her plate, and hoping it's going great for her. And I mean, we just live in a world, I think, where we have to be. It's sometimes exhausting, but we have to be on all the time for everybody. Right. But I think that's our job. It's our role. It's what we took on when we got into this business that we're in, and I love it. Also the fact that I can do my job anywhere in the world is nice, but it also means
we always say the good news is we can work from anywhere, but the bad news is we can work from anywhere.
Yeah. So, right. But even when I'm on the beach, we said we're powered by sun, sand, and water. I'm on the beach. What do I typically have by me? A laptop and a cell phone. And, I don't have a problem handling business right then and there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm blessed to be able to do this anywhere. Mm-hmm. I might as well just own it, take care of it, and then go and enjoy what I'm doing. Right. So it's just your perspective and your outlook on balance or harmony.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, like what you said, just to have the blessing of actually having a work, job, right? Something to do, plus having it be something that you really, really love.
Yeah.
I have never once thought, oh man, I'm so sick of this. I'm just ready for it to be over. Of course, there's things, everybody has tough days, right? We all have some sort of failure or something, right? But gosh, yeah.
You've been in it long enough. Yeah. I mean, after 20, sometimes, it's hard. I mean, and that's where you have to have a great partner. And Jen, picks me up when I'm not feeling my best, because of 26 years and dealing with, so many different things, and you have so many different things coming at you and challenges. And, sometimes you get a little, I wouldn't say beat down, but it's like, man, okay, I got to get up and do this again. And it's great to have a partner that is fully supportive of all that you have to do. And she's like, yeah, you do. Let's go get it.
Yeah, because there's no bigger picture. We're all going to have those days and weeks and sometimes months, But for one thing, I feel like we've learned it definitely evolves. And it changes. And we always say the thing in our marriage that saves us is we do sweat the small stuff, because we've had so many big things happen in our life massive things that we've got the big stuff, but we will argue about the trash or the dishes sure. Oh my God, I can't even believe you answered me like that. Or, just the silly stuff, which really amounts to nothing. But the big stuff was just, we've got, and that's, I feel like, helped us, have such a long marriage and be in business together, because it's not easy.
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh, business, remodeling houses. I mean, oh my gosh, we like, they tell you there's things you should do and shouldn't do. I think we did all the things you shouldn't do when we got married. I mean, we got into business together. We bought rentals together. We remodeled houses together. We lived in a house and remodeled it. I mean, it's like all that stuff. Yeah. And we're like, oh yeah, if we can go through that, we got this.
Yeah.
And then it led to other things that were great big stuff that were so positive that happened to us. And we're like, okay, we're good. And there's things that, pose some pretty big challenges in our life, like a CFO embezzling a bunch of money and, closing companies. And I mean, but we got it. We know we can make it when we got the good stuff. We can definitely take it. And sometimes, as you mentioned the Bible, it's like that. You walk through the desert, and those are the times that you learn and you grow and you come closer to Christ. And at that moment, you find your true path and calling and stuff like that. And those are things that it's healthy. I was talking to somebody on Instagram today, DMing them today, and about loss. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay. Loss is if with the right perspective is where you grow the most. Mm-hmm. It's not just about the success that you're going to have or, what you accomplished. It's what do you learn during those moments. And it's challenging. It's not always easy to receive, and it is challenging to lose. And while I hate losing more than I like winning, it's the places that I've kind of learned the most. I didn't really learn when I was doing great. And
Yeah,
successful.
right. You win. You're not really you're not analyzing anything. You're just
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. It's a huge
Yeah,
win.
it's great. Yeah, we're
did a
doing
lot.
everything right.
Right.
And sometimes markets, right, in our business, sometimes markets mask, the real underlying issue. And you are successful as a brokerage or whatever, and you're only successful because the market's allowing that because it's so plentiful. But when we see what we're seeing now, and it gets tougher to operate and navigate in markets, that's going to be brokerages like yourself that invest in education and how to help those agents grow incrementally and be able to take care of communities and having roots in communities that are really doing that every single day. That's what's going to keep them at the top of their game and help more people.
Yeah, I agree completely.
So how do people find you? So if they're gonna check you out and want to maybe look at your brokerage or have a conversation with you, what's the way to contact you?
So we have a website, willowtexas.com. We're also on Facebook, which if you just look up Willow Real Estate, you're going to see us. I think there is another one out there, but they're like in the Northeast or something like that. And I need to figure that out at some point. But anyways, or you can just look me up specifically. I have a website that's it's called toddsellstexas.com, and it has all of my contact information and like reviews and stuff from agents and things on there. It's sort of my little vanity page. But those are really the ways.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Yeah,
brother.
Sure.
Thank you. Really
Thank you for
fun.
having
It's
me.
great to
Yeah,
learn.
this is good
Great to
times.
learn more about you and your brokerage, and look forward to seeing you continue to growth.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers, brother.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
Yep.